people, welcome to the TOD Show. I am your host, Abayomi Odunla, and I have on set with me today one of the best bakers in Nigeria, actually in West Africa, yes, an award-winning baker. He's popularly known for calligraphy, so they call him Calligraphy King on Instagram. I have on set with me Mr. Soremekun Ayodeji, popularly known as aybakescakes. It's good to have you on set, Mr. Soremekun Ayodeji.
Thank you so much, and good to see you also.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Can we meet you, sir?
Well, my name is Soremekun Ayodeji. Maybe adding to it, Opeoluwa.
Opeoluwa.
Yes.
Okay.
So apparently, a Mister, still single and not searching. So, so I'm also I'm the brand founder of AY Bakes Cakes.
Cakes.
I run a cake company called AY Bakes Cakes, an home bakery that works from home apparently. So I think little does well.
Wow. So why cake? Like, it's something is kind of a gender-based industry.
Okay.
So why did you choose the baking industry?
Well, the more reason why I chose the baking industry was more or less like a force actually. It was not deeply my interest or way of or style that I really grew into, but it was something that, I was really kind of forced into. But along the way or along the line, I grew interest for it. And that was due to my mom in a way. So she apparently would tell you, oh, we need to bake this cake, we need to do this cake. And normally I was an artist. So I make artworks, I do artworks, I do crafts. So this actually grew my interest. And going into school, I felt, okay, I could do some little side hustles and all of that. So this was what brought into the story. This was what brought everything into play. So I think that was really what made me choose the craft, not because I really do. In fact, I had this low interest for breaking eggs. So it was really
But you
kind
have to
of
break eggs whenever you want to bake.
you get. So, but I had to grow out of that, gradually. So and really that was it.
So, Mr. Ayo, how long have you been baking? Since when you were little?
Well, I would say apparently 10 years.
When you were 10 years old?
I would say 10 years old.
Oh, like 10 years ago. Oh, okay.
So I'll say 10 years, maybe 12 years now though. So, but officially started 5 years ago.
Okay.
And I think my brand was registered with CAC about 4 years ago.
Oh, wow, interesting. So can you tell us what's the vision of AY Bakes Cakes?
Okay, the vision, or should I? Yes, I don't want to use the word visions.
Okay.
I'll use vision because it has to be one. So vision apparently is, number one vision is to provide good, affordable, and luxurious cakes.
Luxurious cakes.
Yeah. So and also to train people into being a very sound and good cake entrepreneur, just like me. Baking is versatile. It's something you have to. It's not about baking alone. It's beyond the oven actually. So we also want to train people to grow into that manner, not just to bake alone or have the understanding of baking alone, but to grow wild in the cake industry.
Okay, so you are a trainer, right?
Yes, I do train.
And how does it feel like training people? Have you had any terrible experience?
Headache, like serious headache, coming from someone who does not really have an idea of something and you want to teach the person, it's really something that difficult sometimes. It's very difficult sometimes. So but with the help of God and with my little knowledge and skills, I am able to handle, and it takes a lot of patience to teach people. So once you can have that, you have it all.
Wow, that's interesting. Yeah. Okay, so Mr. Ayo, can you briefly put us through your journey, how you started, how you got to where you are today?
Okay. If I may recollect how I started vividly, I think I started way back from school and, the university days where you go to the school to sell cakes, in the back hall, you go to the classes, GNS 101, then, it's always crowded in the school.
So you had a lot of people that could buy.
So I started, apparently, when I tell people these things, they feel it's to some extent a lie, but I would say I started with the last 1,000 on me. And I just felt, okay, what could I do to feed for myself again in school? So I just said, okay, you know what, let's do something I usually love to do, even though I don't like breaking eggs. So I just said, let me do that. And I bought the ingredients, bought the raw materials, and I started that. So, and with that, I just went and said in school, and from that it grew into something, a gradual process. Oh, I love your cake, I want to order a birthday cake, can you make a birthday cake, this, and things then, as at 2015, 2016, things were not this expensive. So, you can still bake a very big cake for like 10,000 naira, 5,000, So
They were affordable then.
yeah, they were very, even then too, I knew people were collecting huge amount of money for their craft. So even till now, so it wasn't because it was because I was in that environment.
Okay.
So the schooling environment, I have to make it affordable for students. So that was just it. So, and from there, it grew into carving a niche for myself. When I was in school, there was this cake I really made, a very big cake for my birthday. So I wrote on the cake. I usually write on cake. So some person saw it online when I posted, oh, you're very good at writing. And that was really what, brought about the old cake writing instructor, the calligraphy king, and all of that. So it was just a niche I carved for myself. And ever since then, I think 2016, if I still show you a picture I made 2016, and you still look at the cake, are you sure you didn't make this cake 2020?
So that's like 6 years ago.
Exactly. So it was still, the cake is still so very clean. So that's just it. So, and from there, I grew my interest for cake writing. I started training people on how to write on their cakes and all of that. And the journey so far, it has been smooth, rough, smooth. So no journey is so smooth. Even when it is smooth, you have to checkmate some things. So apparently it's been rough, and from the rough it becomes smooth, like that.
True. Okay, so there's this thing about when it comes to baking, people feel it's a woman's job. As a man, how does it feel? Do you have any customer that wants to come with maybe to entice you to bake for them for free or something? Have you ever had such experiences before?
Wow. I won't say entice me, actually. I've had a couple of friends who will tell me, you are now, you're my friend now, this and that. You don't want to pay, okay. But I later understood the fact that you don't have to go business with emotions. If you do that, you will be careless with a lot of things. So what I basically do is I smile with them too. Fun. Things are also expensive. It is not like that. I would have baked the cake for you.
You can't go to the market
you
smiling.
You get, so that's just the little way I've been able to coin around that. So apparently, it's not like people come to me to entice me. They just come around me to tell me, oh, please, help me now. A cake that I should bake for 100,000, they'll tell you, I collect 80,000 now. As per this, okay, I'll tell you, okay, for you, it's because it's you, 95. We will laugh around it, and at the end of the day, it becomes mine. So it's not, I've not really had any experience of enticement or whatever. So being, gender about it, I had a couple of male bakers who bake also. So, we are just there in the industry doing our thing.
So you don't feel threatened by the female counterpart?
That's hard though. We feel threatened.
Really?
You generally we feel threatened. Do you know why? Because women have their way to I won't say, some have these support systems very well. Financially, that's women for you generally. Their parents want to support them because they are fragile.
They are partners.
I don't want to say that, but you understand what I mean. So, but as a guy, you have to hustle and bustle the whole thing all on your own, and there will still be a girl who wants to take from you and everything. So it's quite difficult like that. So, well, we don't feel threatened once you have the understanding of what you are into and your vision, your mission for yourself, not for the industry alone. For yourself as a person, the industry, the society as a whole. So I think that would help you totally. So there's really nothing to be training about, even though it looks threatening. So That's just
Wow, interesting. Okay,
Yeah.
so Mr. Ayo, can we get to know some personal things about you? Something that the general public don't know, that people on Instagram don't know. Something that you know that this is who you are, but on Instagram people don't really know.
Let me think.
I'm sure you have one or two things to
I
say.
actually have one. I think I tell a lot of people this, but they don't believe me. I'm this introvertial person. Like
Oh,
I'm more of inside than outside. But because of business now, you can't push
you're
yourself.
always out.
You have to push yourself out. You have to bring out content. You have to do content. You have to do cake content. You have to do this that people can patronize you. And we're in a digital world right now. So if you really want to be out there in business, you have to create that content for yourself.
The exposure.
Exposure, exactly. That's the word. Thank you. So you have to create that content for yourself, and people will get to see you better. So I'm more like somebody who is indoor than
But people
outdoor.
feel you're always out there, going from
Exactly.
one event
And
to
when
the
they
other.
see me out there and I don't respond the way I respond to them on social media, they feel offended about it. And like, don't get offended. That's
your
just
real
that's my real
personality.
personality. But you're not getting it. You think because I play on social media, I do this on social media, I feel that is just me. So I cry a lot though. I cry a
Really?
lot.
You don't look like someone that cries.
I cry a lot though. I still cry before coming. So
Oh, okay. So aside from baking cake, what else do you do in your spare time? What's your hobby?
There's really nothing much. I love cooking. So sometimes
interesting.
I enjoy cooking. I love cooking. I go into the kitchen to prepare myself a nice meal, heat, and that's just it. And sometimes at my leisures, like I rightly said, the baking industry is beyond the oven. And I hope a lot of young cake entrepreneurs would like to look beyond that. So what I do is most times I write proposals to brands to become influencers.
For them.
I'm saying a secret out there, but I just have to let it go. So I write proposals to brands to make, oh, can I be your brand influencer as regards the industry? Can I come up with content, cake content that would help, other cake, people? Or can I, what else do I do? My book are there to, my books are there actually. Let me say books. Because
yes, I was about
mentioning that, yeah. So my books are there to look at, I do a lot of things at leisure. So it's not only because cake don't come every day as regards.
Sometimes it could be seasonal
exactly
or
festive period. So.
Oh, okay. So you mentioned something about influencing. Can you give us more insight about your influencing part? Like, do you influence for only people in the baking industry, or you can influence for any industry?
Well, because of my craft and creative nature, I think I can influence for any brand. Any brand, exactly. But because I want to look more into the baking,
so you want to have that niche, like have
exactly.
Niche.
Something like people creating for other brands too outside the baking industry. I also want to do that for my own industry so we can grow beyond what everybody sees baking to be. So everybody sees baking to be that flour, sugar,
and breaking egg.
Exactly, breaking egg, butter and margarine and all of that. But baking is beyond that. I want to sell for people in the industry, and I've done that for a couple of brands actually. I think about 3 brands now.
Wow, that's nice.
So I'm just getting to start up the content creation better. You get so I hope to grow more.
But so far, what I've seen on your page online is fantastic, I must say.
Well, you can say that again. Should I have said that as a compliment, or should I say it's still a trial?
It's the reality of what I saw online. Like, you're doing very well with your content. I'm
Thank
really proud of you, actually.
Thank you. Touch my heart.
So we need to go on a quick break, and we can continue this conversation. So we need to go on a quick break now, and then we'll come back to join AY Bakes Cake to discuss about the baking industry in Nigeria, and also to mention about his new books online. Thank you.
Do you like mobile technology and gadgets? Then you don't want to miss Niger Phone Expo, the largest gathering of phone users and key industry players. Come and enjoy the whole experience of exciting activities, fun, and shopping at amazing discounts, featuring exhibitions and sales of phones, accessories, gadgets, refurbished phones, phone swap, phone repairs, with entertainment and lots of giveaways. Date 2nd and 3rd December 2022. Venue Biggs Garden, Lekki Phase 1, Lagos. Entry is free. Organized by Wando Signature and Jigger Entertainment. For more information, visit www.phoneexpo.ng or contact 0818-811-4400. Follow us at Niger Phone Expo on social media for updates. It's an experience you can't miss. See you there.
From the break, and I still have on set with me AY Bakes Cakes. Mr. AY, let me just put it that way.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so can you just tell us some of your success stories, like what you have done so far in the space of how many years? Less than a decade.
Yeah.
What are the things that you have done that you're so proud of yourself? Like, doing well.
I would say the number one thing I did for myself that I was so proud is that my book, the release of my book as at 2019.
That's like 3 years ago.
Yeah. My first ever book. So that's like the first cake book I had. So then number two thing I think I have done for myself, like an achievement that I feel, I don't think there's really anything, I won't say there's really anything much, except from people who had made cakes for, big cakes.
Big cakes.
Exactly. I would say that's part of the achievement. So I've made some huge cakes. I've had some, cakes that I've made, and people are like, wow, this is huge. This is this.
I saw a couple of them on Instagram,
exactly.
actually.
And, so that's just one of the things I also feel it's an achievement. And I think lastly was of recent, the Future Leader, award that happened.
Yes, congratulations. Yeah, I saw the award stuff. Congratulations. You're really doing well, actually, Once people can notice that you're making an impact in an industry, then the award starts coming in. So congratulations once more.
Thank you so much. So we plan doing more and plan getting to greater heights, actually. So, but those are few achievements that I think I've had for myself and I'm really happy about. So.
Okay, so can you tell us some of the challenges that bakers face that we don't know? We just eat cake and we are good.
You just cut the cake and you're good.
What are the challenges that you people go through?
Man, a lot of bakers goes through, number one, the current inflation rate, hyperinflation rate. And another thing is because our industry, some say it's a monopolistic market. And to me, I term it to be now currently to be a monopolistic competitive market. So monopolistic market means that when you have more sellers than the buyers. But monopolistic competitive market means that when you have too much of sellers than the buyers. So it's really conflicting a lot of issues. There's no balance. Even people that have the worth to give out, the value, the cake to give out, people, for example, you come to meet me and I tell you my cake is 100,000. The same cake, you go to meet another person and they tell you it's 20,000. No, there's no real balance in price. So, and this is causing a lot of conflicting issues among bakers. That's number one challenge. Number two challenge is, like I said, the hyperinflation rate.
I think that challenge is applicable to most business.
Exactly, it's general.
The dollar rate and everything.
Exactly. So it's really affecting us too. Cost of raw materials is getting high each day, and most times when you tell clients, okay, now another thing is you just see cakes out there and you feel, oh, this cake is very lovely and everything is really amazing, but you don't even know the content. There's a difference between butter-based cakes and margarine-based cakes. So, for example, if you're seeing a margarine-based cake, it will be less costly than a butter-based cake. So you can't compare somebody that uses butter to somebody that uses margarine.
Which one is more expensive?
The butter-based is more expensive. So apparently, you would now say, oh, you want to charge for your cake, and somebody's telling you their 6-inch round cake is 60,000 naira. You won't blame the person because the person knows the value of what they are using for that particular
and the
cake
content
and
of
the
that
content
cake.
of the cake. So, for example, you that you're using margarine, you can't compare your price. So, a lot of people are conflicting this issue for, oh, the price is too expensive, your this is too expensive, your that is too expensive, and in a way, you get tired of it and you want to maneuver your way into something else. Like, for example, pastries, confectionals, and all of those things. But when you have a strike balance and you have a mission and you have a vision of where you're going, I tell you, nothing will shake you, no matter what anybody says. And business comes with a lot of things. Number one, like inflation. Number two, law of diminishing returns. These things happen generally in the economy. High rate of raw materials, war, and a lot of things that could happen, political policies and all of that, taxation, interest rates getting high, all these things affect business generally. So a lot of people let it affect them as a baker because they feel that they are the only one. Meanwhile, it's actually general.
Everybody.
So you don't allow these things to, affect you,
to
weigh you down as a baker. So you just have to keep going. So, and more or less, that is why you see, sorry to say, 70%, at least I think about 70% when I was making my research, 70% of the American bakers or the UK or abroad people who make cakes over there overseas are home bakers. The reason being the fact that the tax rate is really high.
The overhead cost
Exactly,
will also be
high.
well.
So a lot of bakers, I think I will say this later. It's just like an advice for bakers.
Okay.
So maybe when we get into that
but when
conversation,
we're
I would
wrapping
say
up.
that exactly. So some of these challenges, some of these things we face, and I would plead with clients to they should price or charge cake with mercy. So when you're telling you a cake is 60,000, don't question exactly. Don't over bargain the thing. You can say, oh, can't it go for 50,000? It's still fair. Not saying can't that cake go for 10,000. I saw somebody wants to bake
ridiculous.
It for 15,000.
That's ridiculous.
It's because there's no balance in the industry.
So do you have a regulatory body for bakers in Nigeria?
Well, a regulatory body is just coming up. But to me, they are not really doing enough. And I would also advise that they do more to regulate these things.
Is it a state chapter or is it national?
It's a general chapter.
National.
Yeah, it's a general. It's called Nigeria Association of Sugar Craft and Professionals or something. I can't really remember the name. But nevertheless, this association is just coming up to regulate all of these things. But I know they can't they can't really do it all. They can just subsidize these things. It will definitely still keep happening.
It can reduce.
Exactly.
Oh, okay. So do we have any policy currently from government that affects bakers?
Well,
is there any specific policy?
I would say it affects businesses
generally. So especially the consumable.
Exactly, the tax rate. So that's the only thing. And most of us, don't let me lie to you, spying this to the camera, most people don't pay tax.
No, I don't agree. People actually pay tax.
Most go
one
and
way
check.
or the other. By the time you're shopping for your ingredients, when you're buying, you're already paying.
No, that's not the tax I'm saying.
But you're talking about like the tax directly from
the individual, from the brand. I just went to register for my tax identification number, and I was asked to pay some penalties. You understand? Because I've not been paying my tax. So how many people are ready to pay about 7.5% over their monthly income? So that's
even if they can calculate
the monthly income or monthly profit. And most young bakers are actually still home bakers, apparently. So charging that amount is going to be a whole lot on them. So pleading with the government, I think they should help try to regulate these things, help the young
the
SMEs. Yeah, that's the word. Thank you. SMEs to, pay some amount, while other people are paying pay more or something. So I don't know, but I think the tax is just general. I think
aside from the tax, is there any other policy that affects bakers in terms of consumption? Is there a regulation like we have NAFDAC for drugs? Do you have anything of such?
Yes.
And bakers follow it.
you also have to be registered with NAFDAC. You have to register
Oh, really? I
CAC.
didn't
Yes.
know. So
If
as a
you,
baker, you have to be registered.
yes, if you, most especially for pastry and pastry owners,
Owners.
people who do confection, snacks, and all of that thing. But you know, we are in the system where we can always try to balance the strike.
Oh, okay.
Do you understand? So
But ideally, you're supposed to be
exactly,
registered.
you're supposed to be registered
Because everything you are doing goes into the mouth. Okay, that is it's good to know that actually that people who bake actually have a regulatory body for what they produce. It's not like you just go to a corner of your house and put things together.
Yes.
Okay, that's nice. So you've been mentioning home baking,
Okay.
Is there any other type of baking aside from, I don't really understand.
Well, I would say there is something I term to be organizational baking or bakery.
Okay, bakery.
Yeah, and why there's home bakery
baking.
or baker or baking.
So what's the difference?
The difference is that as an organizational baker, you have your staffs, you work with your, you have rooms, sections where you bake,
have a different building.
Exactly, you have a different building entirely where you bake your cakes from, where you do your things from, and all of that. But some of us are still home bakers because the cost to incur outside also would affect the cost to incur inside. So most times that's the reason why most people are still home bakers, why they want to cut around cost and make sure that they put some things really good out there.
But even as the home baker thing that you said, you still regulate whatever you produce
exactly.
from there.
You have
environment
to
and all
exactly. You have to be hygienic. You have all those things. If, like I said, overseas, when you see these people, they are most times home bakers. And the hygienic agencies comes around to check your home, to check the bakery.
Okay.
But right here, I think that should be the work of the NAFDAC and some other bodies to check exactly. But we are not really doing that here. So, but nevertheless, you should keep your environment very clean as a baker, which I actually, do so much. So that's just it.
Okay, nice, interesting. Can you tell us about your book, some of your books?
Okay. Number one book I have there is called Simplified Cake book for bakers. Now I termed this book as simplified because I made it so simple enough for bakers who are having issues with their recipes, for bakers who need to understand how content creation is built on social media, for bakers who need to understand more about the cake industry, not just baking and baking alone. You have to understand, just like the neatness we talked about, the composure, how you talk, how you relate to people, all of those things, services, all these things are inside the book.
Is really detailed.
Exactly.
So
I wish I had a
bakers
copy.
Only?
Well, yes,
or can an amateur just pick it up?
Yeah, you can pick it up. Anybody can pick it up, and you just practice what is there. And in fact, it's on Amazon UK.
Oh, so, wow, that's nice.
Exactly. And I think was it last year or half this year, we had some copies in the UK too for sales. So really nice. we can as well, anywhere in the world, you can pick up the book and do whatever you want to do with it. And in fact, as you are, I won't be surprised tomorrow and you say, "Oh, I just baked my vanilla recipe." I just baked your vanilla recipe.
Cakes. Like I love cakes, pastries generally, but I feel I need creative magic and all these things to bake. But I think something I would like to read and experiment one day. Also, you're working on a digital platform for bakers. That's incredible. Can you give us more insight about that?
Well, I shouldn't be sharing this right now, but nevertheless,
this is the TOD show,
exactly,
so
I can share anything. So before I move on, the next book is almost out. It's called Amplified Cake Book. So it looks like the continuation of the simplified one. So, and I think one more book is called 20 plus 5, My Journey. So that's like a 20 years plus 5 years journey, 5 years in the baking industry officially, and 20 years of my life. So building it together as a book, as the journey. So that's what I'm actually writing on. So, and about the digital platform, we started actually, but it's actually a gradual process. Nothing was built in a day. So I had this WhatsApp platform before where bakers come to learn from each other, and it's called the Institute of Bakers. Now, Institute of Bakers is for you to, as time goes on, our vision is for you to be at home and you can learn from anywhere in the world, you know, from different cake tutors or people who are well trained in the industry, professionals. So I could bring, just like the show you are having, I could bring someone who is a baker, a professional baker, who will come and teach us how to do this, and you can watch anywhere in the world.
Wow.
So those are digital platforms I'm trying to.
So you've been able to merge tech with the baking industry.
Exactly.
Wow, that's incredible.
Exactly.
All right,
Exactly.
that's fine. Thank you so much,
Most
Mr. Ayo.
welcome.
Lastly, do you have any word of encouragement to inspire the younger people in this industry?
Well, I would say that the only word I have is make sure you keep to your feet, even if it is hurting. Because most times, you know, most of you don't know the inside. A lot of things happen behind the scene that we see on the screen. For bakers, a lot of people are standing on their feet almost throughout the day to make your cake. So, and that leg, that leg hurts, the back aches, and you know, you just see your cake out there and you still complain that cake is not even nice, and this and that, and you know. But all I'm just trying to say is make sure you don't give up on yourself. Sometimes the road is very tough. And one of the things I learned of recent is called entrepreneurship is a very lonely road. So most times, most especially even people who are not looking, they're looking beyond the oven. People who are looking beyond baking. Just like what I'm doing right now. I'm coming for interviews. Most people are not looking into that. Most people are not looking into Forbes 30 on the 30. Only few of us are having that ideas. Most bakers are not looking into entering the Guinness Book of Record. These are things you should be looking into.
So they should have a bigger picture beyond the oven.
Exactly, beyond the oven. So I think that my advice for you is look beyond what you see out there. Look beyond the creative, the baking, the cakes you see out there. Look somewhere else. There are a lot of bakers.
Think outside the box.
Outside the box. And number two thing is don't give up on yourself. Try push harder. It's not easy. I'll tell you the reality of it. But just try push on yourself. And you know, like I keep saying, God factor is very important in everything you do. So, and at the long run, it will help you. So,
thank you so much, Mr. Ayo. Thank
You're
you so
welcome,
much. So my own take home personally from this is that we should actually think beyond the box. Regardless of your industry, you should know that you can achieve greater things beyond what other people in that industry have done. Like you mentioned, a baker can actually get into Guinness Book of Record, you know,
which is on my line right now.
Oh wow! I'll be so happy.
I registered currently for one of the I'm just saying this apparently. Okay. So I registered for one of the programs.
Wow, I'll be happy to see you on that platform.
I hope so.
Thank you so much for honoring the invitation to be on the TOD Show.
You're welcome.
It's a pleasure to have you. Thank you so much. Same here, man.
I'm really glad to have you. So.
Thank you. It's a wrap today on the TOD Show, and it was an exciting episode with AY Bakes Cake. I've been able to learn so many things about the baking industry in Nigeria. And Mr. Ayo, who is my guest today, is actually an author and is even aiming to be on the Guinness World Book of Records soon. I mean, that is amazing. So if you're a baker and you're watching the show today, don't give up. Like he said, you should think beyond what you're doing currently and think outside the box. Thank you so much for tuning in today for the TOD Show. I remain your host, Abayomi Odunla.